All right, guys, we're doing King of My Heart, the guitar version. This will go right along with the piano lessons that we did, as well as the cajon lessons or drum lessons that we're going to do. So you all can get together after you learn your separate parts and do praise and worship on this song. So I'm going to assume that you're a complete beginner on guitar and you don't know anything, okay? Because a lot of people, if you just jump in and they're like, well, I don't even know if my guitar's in tune. I can't read this thing up here. I don't know how to read tab. I don't know how to do any of that, how to get my fingers. We're going to start from the very beginning. You can see 4 chords up here on the board. And once you learn those 4 chords, you're going to be able to play 85-90% of all praise and worship songs. Trust me. Just have a capo and change the key, and you can use these finger patterns to play so many good praise and worship songs that you want to play. Okay, so first you got to make sure you're tuned up in your guitar. I can't really help you tune on video, but once you get in tune, you play a G chord. Should sound like that. But you should have a guitar with you that's in tune so that you can try to play along with me. Now I'm going to say a couple of things that you might have questions about here in the beginning. If you're playing with a piano person with a keyboard, they're going to be playing in the key of A. And they're going to have different chords than you have here. And you may think, well, how's that going to work? Well, we're going to use a capo. A capo is just a thing we're going to put on the guitar. After we learn this to play in the key of G, we're going to put it right here on the 2nd fret. And then we're automatically going to be in the key of A, and it'll work with the piano, okay? So that's what we'll do to have you guys play in tune together. But we're going to not use the capo right now, just for all of you guys out there who don't have a capo and you want to play along with this. And then we'll slap it on when we're ready to change the key of A to play with the piano keyboard. All right, so we have our 4 chords here, and you have your guitar that's in tune, that you've tuned with your tuner. G chord, C chord, D chord, and E minor. All right, now when you look at this, these red lines are the 6 strings of the guitar. Here's the lowest sounding string. Now when I say low, I mean the bass string, the thick string, the thickest string on your guitar. Next one up in pitch is the A string, the D string. You don't have to memorize this yet, but G string, B string, and E. So that's all 6 strings from lowest sounding pitch to highest sounding pitch. Now let's look at that on the actual guitar. I'm going to try this other camera here. See if I remember where to stand. There we go. So we have the lowest sounding string is this one. Even though it's the highest string towards the sky, okay, as far as up and down, it's the lowest sounding. That's what we're after, pitch. It's the lowest sounding. And then as we go towards the floor, we get higher pitches. So there you go. Oh, can't hear. All right, here we go. You see that? So here's the lowest sounding pitch right here. And then as we get towards the floor, we get higher sounding pitch. Here's the trouble that guitar players encounter at first is that this one's not closest to the floor. It's flipped. Okay, but you'll get used to it and it'll become second nature to you after a while. All right, so don't let it discourage you. This is the lowest sounding pitch. And as we get higher, we get to a higher sounding pitch. Just always remember it's the pitch from low to high on piano, keyboard, or whatever instrument you're doing. As we go up on the page, we're getting low to high. So with that in mind, we're first going to learn a G chord, okay? So whenever there's a black dot, that's where you're going to put your finger. And whenever there's nothing on the string, that means you don't put a finger on it. You just let it stay what we call open. You just let it ring. All right, so we're going to have 4 fingers down right here. Now, when you look at your guitar, like over here, all right, your left hand, the lowest sounding string right here, low E, is going to have 3rd fret. When you measure your frets, here's the 1st fret, 2nd, 3rd, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the neck is divided up into frets. All right? So we want to go to the 3rd fret. 1, 2, 3. Once you get there, you're going to take your left hand and put your middle finger. You see that? How am I doing, Shawn? Too close. Right there. So my middle finger goes on the 3rd fret, and it should sound like this. All right? So that's, if you can hear that. All right, so that's the 1st string. Now if I go back to the board, this is what I'm doing right here. That's the 3rd fret. That's the second fret, okay? So here's the third one, here's the second one. There's my middle finger right on that third fret. Now we're going to do this finger, okay? So now I'm going to take my pointer finger and I'm going to go on the A string, which is the very next string, and I'm going to put it in the second fret right here. See that? So when I pick both of those, I'll bass one and then the next one up. Okay? Should sound like that. Now sometimes we kind of relax our hand and our hand goes this way a little bit and we mute the string and it's not coming out. And that's just because we've relaxed our hand and we're accidentally touching that A string. So make sure you're up on top of the strings so that they're allowed to vibrate. So those are the first two. Got that? All right, hang in there now. Relax your hands, stretch out, shake it out. Now we have the next two strings, we get a free pass because you don't have to do anything. They're just going to ring because they're naturally part of the G chord. The D and the G are naturally part of a G string, open strings there. But we do want a third fret on the next string and the next string. This is the B string and this is the high E, okay? So we're going to put a finger here and a finger there, and we're going to have it after that. All right, so then the third fret, we have 3 strings down, and then the second fret, we only have 1 string down, the one we just did. So let's take a look at these last two. Okay. All right, so we have our first two. Actually, I'm going to take the first two off just to help you see what's happening here on these top 2 strings, these highest sounding pitches. Okay, so third fret, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take my ring finger and my 5th finger. My brother is a really good guitar teacher. He's as good at guitar as I am at piano. And he always tells his students to imagine a rubber band is around those 2 fingers. And they're just stuck together or super glued together. And that's how you want to feel on those 2. But these will hurt the most too because they're the thinnest strings and they'll kind of cut into your finger a little bit. And you may get some tenderness and soreness, but you'll get calluses after a while and it'll stop hurting. All right, so third fret, both those fingers are down, and it should sound like this when I have those down. Okay, now if I get my other 2 fingers where they're supposed to go, I get this. I'll pick up here so you can hear it. Isn't that neat? That's your G chord. So what you do is take your hand off. What you have to practice on this is getting to the G chord. It's easy once you get there to strum, and we can strum all day, but what you need to practice is practice getting to the G, just going boom and landing it, okay? I don't play guitar like some people play. I'm just kind of a basic player, but I can play chords, and the trouble is always getting from one chord to the next. So make sure you practice getting to your G chord. So let's practice that. Okay, take your hand off and then put it back on. And then we can do it again. Take it off, put it back on. You can see I'm not real great. I need to practice it more. Off and then back on. Till you get the feel where you can just land it like that. Getting better right here as we practice. Right? There's our G chord. Well, we have 1 chord down. All right? And actually, I was going to do this. We were going to sing the very beginning of it. Shauna, do you have your mic on? We're just going to sing the first chord. I do have lyrics we're going to put up later and sing with, but here we go. Ready, Shauna? Go ahead and sing. Let the king of my heart, and that's as far as we can go. We can play the first part one more time. Let the king of my heart, all right, wonderful. So 4 strums on that. Dun, 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 dun. Have a pick if you don't have one, okay? Get you a pick. Now the next chord. This is what's great on these praise and worship chords, because once you get the first one, it is so much easier to get to the second one because you only have to do one simple move. All right, but if you look at the C chord, this is actually called a C add 9. I'm not going to get technical on that. I'm just going to call it a C chord. But somebody will go, no, that's a C add 9. Okay, great. It's a C chord, and we're going to play it this way, okay? So if you see C add 9, you already know how to play it. but any form of a C chord will work. All right, so your strings again are the same, of course. Look at this. These two fingers go that way in pitch. So you just move them to the next strings, and you have it. You're there. Okay? These stay the same. Look at that. They didn't move, but these two fingers are going to move up in pitch, one set of strings. Let's see how that looks. All right, so I have my G chord that I'm used to doing right there. Now, all I'm going to do is take these two fingers, and I'm going to go towards the floor. There we go. Up in pitch, but towards the floor, one set of strings. So I'm going to take them right here, and I'm going to go right there. See what I did? I went from here to here, and these two that have the rubber band around them, they're super glued together. They're not going to move. Now listen to what I have. That's our C add 9 chord. All right. There it is, C add 9, or C chord. Okay? There's another way to play a C chord, but it's quite more difficult, I think, to make the change. And this one sounds more praise and worshipy anyway, because they all do that. You just move those two fingers up. Now, let's say you can play the G chord, and you can play the C add 9, okay? You have to practice getting from the G to the C add 9. Because you can practice them separately all day, but until you practice the change, you're never going to be able to keep moving in the song and have to stop, okay? So that's the idea, is to be able to move from one chord to the next one without stopping. So we're going to practice the change. We're going to go back and forth between those two chords for 1 minute. Maybe I won't do it for 1 minute here in the video, but that's what you should do at home. Shawn says, no, I'm going too long. All right, so let's practice that. That's the next thing to do. So we're going to get to playing the song here in a minute, but let's practice going from G to C add 9. Now I'm making up a little rhythm to go with it, just for fun. You can do that as well. Couldn't see my right hand, could you? There you go, you can see it. Back and forth. Rest your hand, shake it out, then I come back. Okay, so practice changing between those two. It's probably the easiest chord changing thing you can do. All right, so we have 2 chords done. We only have 2 left, and the last one's super easy. The D may take a little bit of getting used to. All right, as we look at it, there's an X on there. You're probably wondering, what's that X for? That means we don't want that chord or that string to ring. This low E note has no business being in our D chord. So we want to mute that string. We want it to not sound when we're strumming. And how do we do that? I'll show you how to do that once we get to it. But we don't want this one to sound. That's what the little X means. We do want this string. We want that one. Now these, all right, this is 2nd fret here, 3rd fret, back to 2nd fret. So we have 3 fingers down there on the top 3 strings, okay? So these 2 are your 2nd fret, and then that's the 3rd fret for your ring finger, okay? So that's what it looks like here. Now let's get to the actual guitar and see what it looks like on the guitar. D chord. All right, so I like to look at the strings we already had down. We had our G chord like this, our C chord like that. Remember those 2 fingers that were down? Well, this ring finger is, This ring finger is going to stay right where it is. It's not going to change. It's never going to change on this. All right? But the pinky does come up. You aren't going to need your pinky for this one. So I'll move that one. Now, I'm going to have on the very next string towards the ceiling, going down in pitch though, I'm going to have my pointer finger go on the 2nd fret on that G string right here. Okay, if I pick those 2 strings, I have this. Should sound like that. Now I'm just going to add my middle finger right here on the very highest sounding pitch, on the highest E string right there on the 2nd fret. Press that down. Okay, the D chord's a little tough for you beginners, Once I get it down, then I can strum. There it is. Now I don't want this one. I told you we didn't want that one. How do I make it not ring? Because it sounds bad if it's ringing. I just wrap my thumb around and I lightly touch the string, but I don't press it down, and I get a beautiful D chord. Okay, so take your hand off, put it back down. You just want to practice till you can just land that D chord. See that? Get used to playing that D chord, just landing it. Again, it's 3rd fret for the ring finger on the B string. It's 2nd fret for the pointer finger on the G string. And then it's 3rd fret for the highest string there. There we have it. Probably the toughest one. Now we need to practice getting from the G to the C to the D. So let's shake the hand out. And here we go. G chord, C, D. Notice this finger never moved. My ring finger never moved. Okay, a lot of songs do that. Okay, remember to get your thumb around when it's time for that D chord, yeah. All right, so practice those changes. G, C, D. Now go the other way. D, C, G, just so you get back and forth. Because here's the thing, we're not just practicing this one song, King of My Heart. We're practicing every praise and worship song, right? Because we're going to use these chords over and over again. We're going to learn these chords, and we're going to plug them into all these wonderful different songs that we want to learn and play. One chord to go, okay? It's the easiest one, and I saved it for the end because I knew you would have your concentration really with me on these first couple ones. All right, so this last one is called an E minor. Everything's open except the A and the D string, and it's 2nd fret on both of those. So we're going to have 2 fingers down, and the rest of them will be open. It's an E minor chord. Let's see how to do that. All right, we can either use these 2 fingers, our pointer in our middle, or we can use these 2 fingers. I've seen people do it different ways, and it doesn't really matter which way, so you can do it how you want to. All right, but again, it's 2nd fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the D string, and then you just strum it like that. Make sure you're not laying back and accidentally getting this sound where it doesn't come out. You don't want to mute it by accident. Come on top of the string, your fingertip. Okay? So now we're going to practice going from G, C, D, and E minor. So here's the G. Here's the C. Here's the D. And then here's the E minor. Do it again. G, C, D, E minor, back and forth. G, C, D, E minor. And there are lots of guitar players better than me, but just kind of showing you how to go back and forth. Okay, now we know our chords. We're going to play with it now. Are you ready to sing, Shauna? Sing a little bit. Oh, the lyrics? Okay. I'm trying to... here we go. Turn it back around. There we go. Okay. Now... Wait. Why is it cut off? Tell you what, let's go ahead and cut, and then we'll do another video, do the backing track and all.